Hello, this is Kevin Mann. This is our module on structure, inspiration, connecting with identity and values. Sometimes we need to shift the perspective of our audience, to broaden it, perhaps. This picture from Apollo 11 of Earthrise over the moon, for me, captures that idea of changing our perspective, shifting the way we think about something. A vision is not just a picture of what could be, it's an appeal to our better selves, a call to become something more. This is Rosebeth Moss Cantor, who's a professor at the Harvard Business School. Nancy Duarte, who's a well-known presentation coach and teacher, uses this close at the end of some of her talks sometimes. You have the power to change the world. Meaning, if you learn to be a really great presenter, not only can you get the ordinary career benefits of being more effective, but you can change the world by bringing your ideas into it. So it's a shift in the thinking from small to large. A values close, a value-oriented close, often takes this pattern. We have these values that imply these actions that would lead to these benefits. I'm going to show you how that works. So we are people with certain values calling towards our higher selves, our higher values, ideally. And people with these values will take a certain action because it's consistent with those values. And by taking that action, we'll gain an important benefit. And some benefit that goes beyond the mundane and connects back to the values. So you're going to see actual examples, but that's the framework. So two famous speeches you might well be familiar with. William Shakespeare's Henry V, Act 4, Scene 3, the St. Crispin Day speech, or sometimes known as Band of Brothers speech, where Henry V leads his army into battle. And Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address. They both follow the value close structure that I mentioned before. Let's actually listen to a speech. Winston Churchill gave this speech. It's known as his finest hour speech, and this is at the end of the speech. He leads his audience to identify with Christianity, British life, and the British Empire, and then paints a picture of success and failure, along with the action that he expects us to follow, which is to do our duty. So let's listen to that speech.
What General Weygand has called the Battle of France is over. The Battle of Britain is about to begin. Upon this battle depends the survival of Christian civilization. Upon it depends our own British life and the long continuity of our institutions and our empire. The whole fury and might of the enemy must very soon be turned on us. Hitler knows that he will have to break us in this island or lose war. If we can stand up to him, all Europe may be freed, and the life of the world may move forward into broad, sunlit uplands. But if we fail, then the whole world, including the United States, including all that we have known and cared for, will sink into the abyss of a new dark age, made more sinister and perhaps more protracted by the lights of perverted science. Let us therefore brace ourselves to our duty, so bear ourselves that if the British Empire and its commonwealths last for 1,000 years, men will still say, this was their finest hour.
Winston Churchill was clearly thought to be one of the best speakers of his generation. John F. Kennedy was also considered to be one of the greatest speakers of his generation. He gave a speech in 1962 at Rice University where he announced that the United States would be putting a man on the moon. And the simplified logic of the speech is that the people who built America were bold and willing to sacrifice and therefore built a great nation. Going to the moon is bold and requires sacrifice and also holds out important benefits. Our generation, to be worthy of the legacy of our forefathers, must also act with boldness and be willing to sacrifice so we can reap the rewards of going to the moon. Very simple, straightforward logic. That's a value close. Well, let's actually listen to the speech as he gave it on the next slide.
Surely the opening vistas of space promise high costs and hardships, as well as high reward. So it is not surprising that some would have us stay where we are a little longer, to rest, to wait. But this city of Houston, this state of Texas, this country of the United States was not built by those who waited and rested and wished to look behind them. This country was conquered by those who move forward, and so will space. William Bradford, speaking in 1630 of the founding of the Plymouth Bay Colony, said that all great and honorable actions are accompanied with great difficulties, and both must be enterprised and overcome with answerable courage. If this capsule history of our progress teaches us anything, it is that man in his quest for knowledge and progress is determined and cannot be deterred. The exploration of space will go ahead, whether we join in it or not. And it is one of the great adventures of all time. And no nation which expects to be the leader of other nations can expect to stay behind in this race for space. Those who came before us made certain that this country rode the first waves of the Industrial Revolution, the first waves of modern invention, and the first wave of nuclear power. And this generation does not intend to founder in the backwash of the coming age of space. We mean to be a part of it. We mean to lead it.
Very powerful speech. Some guidance on when to use a value close. Most of the time, you just need to tie the end of your presentation to values of the organization. Customer service, excellence in everything we do, quality, whatever the values are of your organization, bring them in towards the end and tie them to your recommendation. Very simple. You don't need to make it a big production. Sometimes, though, you recognize you're going to hit a lot of resistance. And that's when you can consider using a value close. And so if you're going to center the close on values, you have some examples now and use this values action benefit structure. I should let you know it's not that easy to do a values close, but if you need it, now you know how to do it. To finish off our section on structure, I want to show you a video that takes an entirely different approach. In this speech, Rick Elias ties his content to a plane crash that he was in. And you can tie your content to any natural event or natural process. Sometimes you've heard a day in the life presentation or something like that. That's a natural structure that you can tie your content to. It's an entirely different approach, but it also works. And I want you to see this video so that you can see how powerful it is simply to have a very, very clear structure, even if that structure doesn't have that much relationship to your content. So let's watch this video.